Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Alabama. Welcome and thank you for attending our Alabama Online Global Program webinar today. We're really pleased that you'd all take the time. We all realize that you're webinared and Zoomed and videoed out, so we really appreciate that you take the time today and share some experiences for the Online Global Program for Alabama, what that means for Alabama exporters and companies, and how the benefits that it can bring to everybody. So just while the last of you are logging on, we're just gonna, I guess, start by some introductions. So just sort of introducing who we are as individuals today. So my name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online, and I'm delighted to be here. And I'm joined by my colleague, Online Business Development Director, Adrian Viller, who knows the state well and who will be talking a little bit about the Alabama Online Global Program. We're delighted that Jeremy Wolfe, the International Trade Specialist from the Alabama Department of Commerce, is with us today to talk a little bit about what services and support the Department of Commerce can give Alabama companies. And we are really delighted that Gwen Farrell, President and COO of Sinvivo Inc., could join us today and tell a little bit sort of recount some of the story of an Alabama exporter, what it's meant for her, why they chose those markets, how the Online Global Program has helped, the support from the Department of Commerce, and so on. So we're hearing directly also from a live case study, which is great. We have some time at the end for questions as well, and we have a couple of polls during the webinar. At the very end of the webinar, we'll have a very brief survey, and I would really appreciate if you could just take 5 seconds, 30 seconds of your time to fill out that survey. A quick mention also of who we are as a company. IBT Online, we are 100% focused on online business development tools. And providing those for our clients. Most of our clients are mid-cap companies who are looking to go international, go global, as it were. And we use websites and online marketing to help them reach new markets, expand their global presence, expand their exports, their sales, brand development, and so on. And we're very proud to be working with the Alabama state to provide the Alabama Online Global Program, which as Alabama companies you can take advantage of. Today's agenda, we're really sort of broken up into 6 sort of parts. Jeremy's going to start with some talk about what resources there are for the Alabama companies and what the Department of Commerce has at the moment. And then we're going to sort of talk a little bit about why we think, let's start with the why we think Alabama exporters can benefit from business development tools, and what those mean, those online business development tools, what are they? And then Gwen's going to talk a little bit about sort of Sinvivo as a company, what markets they chose, how they're going international, what is the role and the position there of online global programs and of their websites, international websites. Then we're going to talk particularly about the online global programs for Alabama exporters. That's the website localization programs, the online marketing. Those are the 2 big pillars that we're going to address today. And then, as I said, we've saved some time for takeaways and Q&A at the end. So without further ado, let's get started and go straight into to Jeremy and listen to what Jeremy has to say about the Department of Commerce in Alabama. Jeremy?
So good morning, and thank you to everyone for being here today. We are so glad that you have been able to join us for this webinar to discuss B2B online marketing tools for Alabama companies. We're excited to present today's webinar in conjunction with our partners at IBT Online. As Susanna mentioned, my name is Jeremy Wolfe, and I work as an International Trade Specialist with the Alabama Department of Commerce International Trade Division. Our mission with the Alabama Department of Commerce is to help companies find overseas markets for selling their products and services in order to increase Alabama's exports across the world. We offer many different solutions to help our Alabama companies locate these markets and figure out the best way for these companies to efficiently and effectively enter these markets. Normally, this would be through activities such as trade shows and trade missions, But over the last year, in the ever-changing landscape of the COVID-19 pandemic, we were able to come up with some other creative ways to help, such as a partnership with IBT Online to offer innovative digital services to support our companies. Next, I would also like to take a moment to recognize our partners in the Export Alabama Alliance. The Export Alabama Alliance is a network of federal, state, and local entities throughout the state that work together to help Alabama companies grow their businesses abroad. Much of what we do, we can do because of this network that we've built across the state. These partners include the U.S. Department of Commerce in Birmingham, the North Alabama International Trade Association, or NATA, the Alabama International Trade Center, and the Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as a few other alliance partners who continue to work diligently to provide the assistance that Alabama companies require to be successful around the world. On the screen, you can find just a small number of the services offered by the members of the Alliance, including overseas marketing solutions, customized research for companies, finding agents and distributors, export financing, trade regulations, trade mission and show support, export seminars and workshops, advocacy and commercial diplomacy, and that really only scratches the surface of what we can offer. We greatly appreciate the Export Alabama Alliance and are so glad that we can work within such a tight-knit group here in the state to assist Alabama companies abroad. If you all have any further questions regarding the services offered by us at the Alabama Department of Commerce, including STEP grant funding for assisting in trade activities, or any of our other partners in the Export Alabama Alliance, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or any other member of the trade staff at the Alabama Department of Commerce. Thank you once again for taking your time today to join us, and we look forward to working with you all in the future.
Jeremy, thank you so much. Before we turn over to Adrian and talk a little bit about why we need websites and things, online business development tools, I just wanted to launch a quick poll, just to ask you all sort of how you're whether you've taken advantage of some of the services of the Department of Commerce before, if you've done that regularly or not at all or frequently, so you just take your mouse and you click on, yes, you've done this occasionally or not at all. And it's terrific. Actually, most of you have participated occasionally. There's some that have been very frequent, which is always good to see, but there's the majority of you definitely has been like occasionally. And we're glad to see that some of you are participating already with the Department of Commerce. Great. There's going to be a couple other polls during the webinar, so we'll do that. And I'm going to close this poll now and turn over to Adrian to talk a little bit about why Alabama companies.
Great. Thank you so much, Susanna. And thank you, Jeremy, as well for, that explanation of some of the opportunities that are available for Alabama companies via the Alabama Department of Commerce. And certainly do encourage the companies that are here today to connect with Bo and connect with Jeremy and connect with Hilda and connect with the other trade specialists at the Alabama Department of Commerce, discuss some of your needs on exports. They could be a tremendous helping hand. Before diving in, just want to quickly reintroduce myself. I know Susanna already has, but I'm Adrian. I'm head of business development for the online global programs at IBT Online, and I'm here to be a helping hand and a resource for Alabama exporters as well. Now, on to the question: why do Alabama exporters need online business development tools? Let's talk about it. When we've been talking to companies, especially over the last year, in light of the pandemic and in light of the challenges that that's created for exporters in the United States and in Alabama, over and over we hear these priorities that you have on the screen as what companies are really looking after, right? What are their priorities at the moment? And on this webinar, we're really going to focus on the last priority on the list, which is generating sales, generating exports, generating business, feeding your top line revenue, because that's what online business development tools do. They help you grow your top line revenue. But first, before we can talk about why online tools are effective, let's talk a little bit about the world going online, because in 2020, definitely, as we can all attest to, the world has gone more online than it has ever been, and that trend is likely only going to continue into 2021 in the future. Our friends over at Hootsuite provided some excellent figures about the online world, which we're happy to share with you. As of January 2021, more than 4.6 billion people across the world were on the internet. That's about 60% of the world population. It's a lot of people. And they're spending a lot of time online. We're spending a lot of time online, nearly 7 hours per day on average. If you can take something away from this slide, it's just to know that your customers, your prospects, your leads, future distributors, future employees, future suppliers, very important these days, everyone that your business interacts with, they're all online and they're all spending more time online than ever before. And these numbers are just continuing to grow. Just in 2020, 316 million people joined the internet. 490 million people, almost 500 million people, joined social media in 2020. This is all fantastic news for small and mid-cap companies and means that there are tools that are very cost effective that can help you punch above your weight and connect with, again, your prospective clients, your prospective customers, employees, and suppliers across the globe, going global online. Now, in terms of how we're communicating, I just want to say that of those 4.6 billion people that are now online, 4.2 billion of them are using social media. And most of us, 99% of us, are using it right here on our mobile phones. And the average time that we're spending on social media is huge, 2.5 hours and growing. And in some markets, way more than 2.5 hours. And that's really interesting for us because 43% of internet users are using social media for work. Think LinkedIn and think other social media platforms that have a business purpose. Lots of people going on there for work purposes, for networking, for lead generation. This is great news, again, for companies and exporters. It means that you know exactly where your clients are and what your prospects are doing at any given time. You can get in front of them pretty easily. Social media is for everybody. You know, social media is not just for B2C. There is a huge B2B market for social media. It is for everyone, and we have the tools that will enable you to take advantage of that. Many companies in the B2B space, and sometimes a lot of those companies are not paying attention to their online presence, which is to their detriment. And this is because they suffer from what we call, perfectly engineered syndrome. And this is, that deep down feeling that your product is so wonderful that it will sell itself. And for the most part, that might be true, but getting in front of people is the challenge. How do people know about your product to begin with? Now that, and these days, companies are still kind of reluctant in meeting face-to-face. Reopening is happening in the US. It's not yet happening in other economies. Typical sales avenues like trade shows and trade missions have been canceled. They've been postponed. They've gone virtual. It all speaks to the importance of having an online presence to really speak about how wonderful your products are and to be keyword optimized so that people looking for your products in foreign markets can find you easily and connect with you. Now, people who make purchases for their businesses are doing their due diligence on your products, your company, and your competitors online, and they're doing it before they ever talk to you. And it's supported by the numbers here. 94% of B2B purchases are researched before contacting a sales rep or a distributor. So 94% of your clients are Googling you and they're looking for your competitors as well. And 70% of those searches start with a sort of broad generic term, such as CRM software, rather than a search for a specific brand. So it's ever more important for you to really make sure that your website is keyword optimized, that your SEO is on point, and that you have a strong website and social media presence to help engage, be your 24/7 sales rep and work for you at all times during the day for many markets. Also want to add just a side note here that B2B e-commerce is very, very quickly growing, and it's about 3 times the size of the B2C e-commerce space. So that's going to be very, very important. And as more companies move to e-commerce solutions, you really want to start thinking about how you can digitalize that transactional aspect of your business and how you can utilize your web presence to help you accelerate your sales with the use of e-commerce tools. Now, we like to think about the online business development tools as really two interconnected pieces, as you can see on your screen. You got your website and you have your online marketing. In the before times, maybe pre-COVID or even before then, it was acceptable just to have, your basic core domestic website, and you just made sure that your webmaster optimized it every now and then. They sprinkled in new keywords, sort of an annual spring cleaning, so that the search engines could find you. And maybe it was enough just to publish one blog post per year, so that would get you ranked as #1 on Google. But now that everyone and their mother has, a website, things are, and I'm understating here, just get more. So to be clear, you still need a well-designed, optimized core website with updated content, and you still need to do SEO work. But now the SEO work has to be regularly checked and freshened up. This isn't a once every 6-month deal. This is something that you want to do maybe even monthly. And your one blog post per year is just unfortunately not going to cut it anymore. You need a thought out, planned online marketing strategy, like structured social media outreach campaigns. And you need to make sure that your website can be found, that you're understood, and you're easy to do business with, both in the US and internationally. So in practice, what does this look like? What are we talking about here? So think about your websites as digital real estate, okay? Your US website can have its own communication policy around it. You have your us.com website, and then you have a communication policy around it. You have the SEO piece, and you have the social media piece, and those feed traffic, engagement, and conversions onto your US website. Now, for your international clients and prospects, you need a similar online environment in their market. You need a digital real estate in their market. So let's just say, for the sake of an example, that you're targeting the French market and you're targeting the Brazilian market. You will also need dedicated, localized websites into those markets. You need to buy some real estate there. Because searchers in those markets have their own search engines, and you'll need a dedicated SEO strategy and a dedicated social media marketing strategy for those markets, so that your websites act as springboards for your communication. It can all feed back to your US website, and they certainly should be linked. And of course, from a brand perspective, all the websites should look similar, so that people in every market can quickly identify them as belonging to your brand. The consistency is very important. Again, your French website, your Brazilian website should look and feel the same as your US website, but the content will be localized for those markets. That way, your online communication can be effective in penetrating and accessing prospective leads in those markets. So as a takeaway, make sure you have your localized websites first, then go to the marketing part of it, the SEM and the SMM. So just know that, this is the way that we look at it as real estate, with those outreach strategies around it. Just to recap, in terms of why Alabama exporters need localized websites, it's really just because the world has gone online, and now more than ever. And in a world where everything is seemingly in short supply, I don't know if you guys have a barge stuck in the Nile, or maybe or in the Suez rather, or in the Mississippi, because both of those things seem to be getting stuck these days. But the online world can help you connect with your future clients, your employees, and suppliers who are searching for you in their local online environment, in their local search engines, and in the native language. In this new normal, having access to effective online business development tools is essential to help you in getting found, understood, and be easy to do business with in your target markets. And to this effect, IBT Online has partnered with the Alabama Department of Commerce to deliver the Alabama Online Global Programs. These programs have been carefully designed and have shown measurable success in helping you get found, understood, and be easy to do business with in those target markets. And the goal of the programs is really quite simple. It is to create a sales funnel to drive top line revenue, to grow your exports, to grow your sales, to grow your brand, and to grow your business online and in your target markets with all the collateral benefits that you see on the right-hand side of your screen. And now with that, hopefully that illustrates how effective the programs can be for Alabama exporters. And we have invited our good friend, Gwen Fuel, who's president and CCO of the Huntsville-based Sinvivo Inc., to share how website localization has supported the growth of her company's business in Japan. So without further ado, Gwen, over to you.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Susanna and Adrian, for inviting me to share Sinvivo's experience with developing this international localized website. I want to start with telling you a little bit about Sinvivo and then, talk to you about how we decided to build with IBT Online our first localized website in Japan. It's been a great experience that we'd like to share. So Sinvivo is a life sciences research tools company. Our name actually is derived from synthetic in vivo. We have a proprietary platform that recreates the in vivo or the in the body environment on an in vitro, a synthetic microfluidic chip format. This enables the creation of more biologically realistic models that then enable better prediction of human relevant responses during early drug development or during personalized medicine applications. So using this platform, we've developed 3D tissue and organ on chip models that can be used in various aspects of early drug development. Our target market and our customers are pharmaceutical and biotech drug developers, academic and government research institutions, and we have broad applications across oncology, neuroscience, inflammation, toxicology. You can see on the slide, this is a slide of our homepage and our US based website. You see some of the models we offer are very specific to modeling the blood-brain barrier or various tumor models. The lung inflammation can be modeled. So for example, we can model sepsis as a disease and can be used to screen drugs to reduce inflammation, for example. The lung model, especially in the time of COVID right now, has been a popular model for screening not only existing drugs, but also using new potential drugs to see how we can reduce inflammation and infection. So we sell both products as microfluidic chips, as you can see on the bottom, instrumentation. We also sell contract research services where we offer drug screening, assay and new model development. But just the point I want to make is that we have a very technical product portfolio, and we use on our website a combination of educational and promotional marketing to promote awareness. So the website in general is very important to us because, and not only the website, but web-based advertising is important because of how our customers search for and find information to educate themselves before they make a purchase of product or decide on services. So our customers mostly will get information more from the web versus what used to happen maybe 10 years ago where field-based sales was important. And certainly we have developed very comprehensive content for both our product and services offering, which you can see on this slide. We list products along with the validation data, the protocols, videos, publications, especially peer-reviewed publications. And we've had to organize the content in this tab format because our customers need that kind of information to make their purchase decisions. The website is e-commerce enabled and critical to our business. So as you see, we sell through our website directly in the US, and we also have a network of international distributors who sell mostly products, but some of them also sell services. So again, very technical product offering, and we sell to a niche market. So it's important that we are able to target them specifically and have them come to our website to find the relevant information. So we started exploring this idea of an international localized website last year when COVID shut down the world, and our ability to meet our customers in person went away very quickly. And so then the website and web-based marketing was all that we could do to promote our offerings, to continue to talk to our customers. We were on one of these webinars learning about the benefits of an international localized website and realized that we really needed to do this to continue to expand our international business. So we selected Japan as our first international localized website. And there were a few reasons we selected Japan. You know, we have current customers, a lot of interest from Japan for both our products and our services. There's a clear language barrier. We know it because you know, in the past we've met and interacted with customers at trade shows, for example, but it's always difficult to close those leads once you're you know, you're back we're back in the US or they're back in Japan. It's hard to, we know that there's a language barrier. We also have 2 international distributors in Japan, and we thought that this could be a way to help them grow their business. And then we additionally had some important strategic partners in Japan. And so for all these reasons, Japan was our first choice of an international localized website. So our website actually went live 3 months ago, and our Japanese distributors were quite helpful in the development of this website, not only with helping to develop some of the technical content, I mean, to translate some of the technical content, but also curate some of the translated content that IBT Online worked with as well. And overall, I think it helped develop a much stronger relationship with our Japanese distributor. It has helped their education and get much more familiar with our product, you know, because they actually worked on translating technical manuals. They had a lot of questions. And so what that has created for us is that they actually created a brand new sales division within the existing company to offer services in Japan for Sinvivo. So they were so enthusiastic about the potential that this new website has that they have, you know, put their own investment into it to grow the business. We have started advertising together with them to get customers to come to the website. And we're also helping them to identify additional target customers and partners. So you see the slides on here showing you sample pages from the Japanese website, where IBT Online was very gracious to essentially mirror our US website, because there was so much technical content that needed to go along with our product and service portfolio that an abbreviated website didn't do it as much justice. And so we had a great experience with the team at IBT Online in the development of this website. And we're very grateful to the Alabama Department of Commerce through the STEP grant program for funding this website. We're happy with the results to date, and we hope that we continue to see the benefits of this, not only to promote awareness and get new customers, but increase our revenue and exports to Japan. Thank you.
Gwen, thank you so much. I said we'd have questions at the end. There's a couple that have come in right now, and perhaps I could just throw one at you right now as well, which is just
Sure.
How burdensome was it in terms of your management time to have this international website? How much management time did it take you for these international websites?
Well, I won't say that it didn't take a lot of time. It did take time. It takes time to not only think through what makes the most sense in terms of starting out with a localized website, but also then in trying to decide what content is most useful. I think for this project, it could have been a lot more burdensome than it ended up being, because IBT Online was very helpful. And ultimately, we decided that we would just mirror the US content, and that made it simpler. But the other big support came from our Japanese distributors in the translation of the content and in curation of the Japanese translated content. So I would say, yes, you do need to allocate time for the development and management of the project. But I thank the team at IBT Online for that support.
Thank you, Gwen. Thanks very much. Right. There's a whole bunch of new questions that have come in for you, Gwen, but I think we're going to go on and leave those questions for later, if I may. And then maybe, Adrian, you could tell us a little bit about website localization for Alabama exporters and the Alabama Online Global Program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Susanna. And thank you so much, Gwen, for sharing how Synvivo has benefited from the Alabama Online Global Programs and how localized websites can be leveraged to increase export sales, brand, and business in markets as remote as Japan. So some of you may be asking yourself after, sort of Gwen's participation, why can't I just use my US website to go global? And if you have a website for your company and you want to reach some prospects, say in international market, you might think, let me just add a couple of foreign language pages and then surely, the search engines will do the rest. And unfortunately, that is just not the case. We really wish it was that simple, but it isn't quite. Search engines, whether it's Google or some of the other leading ones in different markets like Yandex, Bing, Baidu, and even these days on YouTube, Amazon, Facebook, all are being used as search engines. They are all searcher-centric. What that means is that the search engine is designed to pick up results that it thinks are most relevant to you. Google itself has 192 different country or region-specific search engines. So just adding a couple of additional pages to your website, unless that's highly relevant to your target audience, you're pretty much invisible in those markets. So say you're targeting the German market. Your searcher will likely go to google.de and they're probably going to search in German. And they'll want to see measurements in metric, currencies in euros, temperatures in centigrade and not Fahrenheit, etc. So think of search engines like Google as lots of different country-specific localized search engines delivering results it thinks are hyper-relevant to the searcher. Here's a great practical example of how country-specific Google's search results are relevant to each specific user. Now, Susanna and I both have pets who love interrupting during webinars. They're actually being really good today, Susanna. And they interrupt by playing or throwing things off of shelves in the background. Susanna's in the UK, I'm in Florida, but we both decided to search for ways to keep various families busy while we're working on webinars, and we both Googled squeakless dog toys to see what we could find. Logically, Google provided results that were relevant to Susanna and to I differently. So I got Chewy.com, Amazon, and Yahoo with a relevant blog post or relevant piece of content. However, Susanna, on the other side, got things that I've never really heard about, like barksandbunnies.co.uk, timeforpause.co.uk, and of course, results available on amazon.co.uk that are not available here in the US. So the same search in the same language at the same time on different Google search engines gave us different results each with content that was hyper relevant to each of us. And aside from just a geographic location, you also need to understand the buyer persona and the language, the vernacular, in order to be relevant to these search engines. In this example, here's an example in Spanish. We have car, which can be translated in one of two ways. It can be translated as auto, or it can be translated as coche. Now, if you're a company that specializes in car parts or car accessories into Mexico, for example, you want to make sure that you're using the word auto in your translation, because that's used 72% of times, whereas coche is only being used 27% of times. On the other hand, if you're looking to sell into Spain, then you really want to do the exact opposite. You really want to use coche, because that is used in 91% of searches for car-related parts. And you want to use that across your website. You want to use that across social media. That is the word that they are using in Spain. So again, same language, different vernacular, and according to Google, very different search results. So keep in mind that translation and keyword research is really only a small aspect of having a localized site. There's a lot more that goes into having an optimized, best practice localized website. In order for search engines to find you as easy as possible, we want to make sure that your website is identified as being specific for that market. And why, you may ask? Again, because Google is searcher specific. So imagine Google's problem. They have hundreds of billions of web pages that they need to comb through in order to figure out what's most relevant for you as a searcher. We need to make it easy for Google to identify us as being relevant to the searcher. That's the job. So in order for that to happen, we need to localize your website and your marketing. Tell Google and the other search engines that you're doing business in those markets and are therefore relevant to searchers in those specific markets. This includes things like hosting the website in your target market, registering the domain name for the target market, and making sure that your website is compliant to the local regulatory environment. So for example, in Europe, making your website is GDPR compliant. So done correctly, here's an example of how a localized website can work. Here you have a website that is targeting prospects in Australia. The website is hosted in Australia. It has a .au domain, and we've done SEO work for that local market. And as you can see, the results for 1 month on this business-to-business website shows that the majority of traffic, in fact 77%, is coming from their target market, Australia. Additionally, you can see that 86% of the total traffic comes from Australia and New Zealand combined, and 99% is coming from English-speaking countries as a whole. So this really shows you what Google thinks is relevant to the Australian market and how it's effectively driving traffic from Australia to this website, and that it is in fact barely relevant to other English-speaking countries. Now, the image on the right is just a great example of how you can target even specific areas, cities, neighborhoods inside of a target market. We know for this client that the majority of their prospects are in the southeast coast of Australia. So the marketing strategy is geared towards those areas. This is why it's really important to understand your buyer persona, which does take me to my next slide. And this is really another case study. So here is Sepco, another great Alabama company. They are headquartered in Alabaster. And Sepco manufactures sealants for the oil and gas industries, chemical industry, and the aerospace industry, a lot of different industry sectors. And for some time, Mexico had emerged for them as a growth market, and therefore they wanted to nurture the business growth with a dedicated Mexico website. Now, one of their challenges for that market was how to best display and sort all of their products. They have hundreds of different sealants and gaskets. So their Mexican website had to have a similar search functionality as well as encouragement for prospective buyers to submit a request for quote. Having that call to action very, very obvious and very, very prominent on the website so they could get the engagement and the conversions that they were looking for on that website. Here's a screenshot of the Mexico website that IBT Online delivered for Sepco. And you can see two things. One of them is that they are visually very similar. And the second thing is that they have equal functionality, meaning the search capabilities on the website are enabled and for Spanish and for Mexican Spanish, and that they have the same sort of call to action in encouraging visitors to submit a request for quote. So that's a good example of how understanding your buyer persona and adapting the program to that buyer persona is extremely important. I believe we may have a poll, Susanna, do we?
Yes, absolutely. Let's have a poll right now. So this is an example of the Alabama Online Global Programs, and we would just like to know if you have an interest in learning more about the Alabama Online Global website programs. And that can be, for example, for like Gwen was talking about, for a single market, or like what SEPCO was doing, or some other examples we have here on the screen. Also about from Vaughan, for example, so say, for several markets. So we have different types of programs, but if you have an interest in learning a bit more about that, please let us know and we can circle back to you in due course. Right. Thank you very, very much for that. That's a very enthusiastic response. So we're pleased about that. And if you care to, we will circle back to that. So I'm going to close this poll now and get back to Adrian. I think just to round off with the sort of generalities of the Online Global Program.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Susanna. And yeah, this really, we would just want to go into a little bit of an overview of what the Alabama Online Global Programs consist of. Again, IBT Online and the Alabama Department of Commerce, we've developed 3 options really for website localization. They all include delivery of best practice, optimally localized business development websites with a customer-centric design, delivered with the support of something we call teamwork project management to ensure collaboration and transparency. They all include support and guidance in selecting domain names, SEO work and keyword research, subject specialist, professional, human translation, and regulatory compliance. Now, in terms of what those 3 packages look like, what those options look like that are available via the Alabama Online Global Programs, we have localization of your US website to 1, 2, or X number of markets, taking your US web presence and localizing to your top export market or markets, plural. The budget for those starts at $12,000 for 2 websites with up to 12 pages and 2,000 words each. And then we have another option that includes design work. So, if your web design is lacking and you would like to invest in having a sleek, responsive, internationally focused website with new content and integrations into other systems that you may be using, we have an option for that as well. Budget starts at $12,000 for 1 website with up to 12 pages and 2,000 words and design work, of course. And then the third option that we offer is with e-commerce enablement, which is huge. And e-commerce enablement using best practice CMSs, including Shopify, WooCommerce, among others, to help you scale and grow. Budgets for e-commerce websites start at $12,000 for a small e-commerce site with up to 100 products. So please, I do encourage you to get in contact with us or to get in contact with the Alabama Department of Commerce. The Alabama of Commerce does offer substantial and very generous grants to help offset the costs of those programs. And as we can maybe ask Jeremy at the end of this presentation to kind of describe what those grants look like. They can really offset the cost of some of these programs and very much like Sinvivo did, help you deliver websites that generate revenue for you in your top export markets. Susanna, over to you if you would like to tell us a little bit about online marketing for Alabama exporters.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to go through this one rather quickly. And to answer the 4 people who've asked already, yes, you will be getting a recording of this in your inbox. We can also have a separate, online marketing is a huge field. We can even have a separate webinar just on online marketing if there's demand. So I'm going to go through this fairly rapidly. I think what I wanted to highlight with this current slide here is just to say the graph on the left of your slide of your screen says social media channels used for B2B research. Social media is not just for teenagers. It's how companies interact with other companies and find each other on the web and connect. That is either a LinkedIn, or it can be Instagram, or it can be lots of different platforms used. But it's a terrific way as well of reaching out to your international audiences and making sure that you connect with them and engage in the way that they want to, in the way, the time, and the place that your prospective buyer wants to. We've talked quite a bit about a buyer persona and this notion of a buyer persona. I'm sure you're all aware of what a buyer persona is for your domestic market. We really just want to point out that your international buyer persona may be different from your domestic buyer persona. And if so, one of the first things you need to do on this whole journey is to figure out in what way is it different. Perhaps there are multiple buyer personas in your expert markets. Maybe sometimes even a distributor. If you go via distributors, maybe a distributor is in fact your buyer persona. How does your international buyer persona find you? How do they interact with you? How do they engage with you? And what way is that journey different from your domestic one? I wanted to give an example here from L'Oreal. This is back about a year ago when the pandemic was just starting. L'Oreal is a global brand and are very aware of their buyer persona. In the US, their main buyer personas are very often salons, hairstylists, something like this. Their US website, very much caring about supporting stylists and salon partners during COVID-19 crisis. And it's very much to them, they could identify, the salon could identify immediately with this. If we look at exactly that time, what L'Oreal was showing in Australia, for example, at that time, Australia had some pretty horrific wildfires. And again, it's the same company. You can see it's the same branding. It's the same fonts, everything else, just a different picture. But that connected with the buyer persona and the buyer persona's concerns in Australia at that time. And if, again, looking at Brazil, again, it's exactly the same time, still very much L'Oreal. L'Oreal just saying to Brazilians, we don't usually make hand sanitizer. We're now making hand sanitizers. We're concerned about the favelas in Brazil. Again, addressing their international buyer persona per each market. And again, just using an image. Another way of looking at different buyer personas and how they react differently in markets. This is the metrics of a social media posting that we did. We did the same post. One was in Mexico and one is in the UK. The Mexican market is a very, very reactive market. The UK much more frosty. But when we did it's exactly the same company, same time, and so we were actually very pleased with our UK response. We got over 1,200 engagements, which for the UK was terrific. We were very pleased ourselves. Look at Mexico, over 20,000. So we got 1,000 in the UK, we got 20,000 in Mexico. Same post. So if for that, then we've said, Mexico is obviously the better market. But in fact, you have to look a little bit further as well. If we look one step further and say, okay, those are the, if you like, the vanity metrics. Here we're going to look and see what actually brings in the sales, and that's the who clicks on where do I buy this, or how do I use this. Those are the more interesting metrics to look at. And there, in fact, the UK and Mexico, that's the yellow and the green on your charts, are much more similar. A much more similar level. So that, in that sense, what we found out is that the Mexican buyer, you need sort of 20 times the level of engagement in Mexico to have the same level of sales as in the UK. So again, a very different type of buyer persona in those two markets, a different type of buyer persona that reacts in different ways for that. On one slide, boom, the top, our best practice for online marketing, our best, our top thoughts about it. And again, we can drill down, or you can ask the questions in the Q&A time. Basically, make sure it's localized. Make sure there's a place for your international buyer persona to go when he sees you on LinkedIn. Where does he go? So have a localized website to act as a springboard. Note the journey and that the buyer persona could be different from your domestic one. Always set metrics. Always measure those metrics. You can't manage something that you're not measuring. Look, analyze, I mean, you know, as they say, lather, rinse, repeat, you know, just keep learning about it, analyzing it, and don't stop. In other words, if you start on an international online marketing campaign, it's not a good idea to do it for like just 3 months. Spread it out, do it long term. Stop and start doesn't work. There is the Alabama Online Global Marketing side as well. For us, it really does show some of the most impactful, cost-effective ways of being found, using your websites to really reach out into your audience, connect with them in the way that they want to connect on a B2b forums, as I mentioned, LinkedIn, but there are many, many different types of B2B forums that you can have. And that ranges from search engine marketing to social media marketing, content marketing, integrating CRMs and databases, all kinds of different types like that. Here you have just two examples. This is an example for Enduron, another great Alabama company for that. And I'm just going to launch a poll before we just to ask if any of you would like to learn more about the Online Global program and about international online marketing in general. You know, if that's something that interests you, we could have another breakout session at some point. We could go through some best practices, work through case studies, and look at the different markets that might interest you. So please let us know if that's something that interests you. And again, I thank you for that response. Thank you very, very much indeed. Very pleased with that. Thank you. I'm going to just turn over back to Adrian now just to sort of wrap up. And please do put in more questions. I see we've got quite a few, both for Jeremy and for, actually some for Gwen, for Jeremy, and also for us. So there's some good questions coming in. Adrian?
Great. Thank you very much, Susanna. And yeah, just to kind of go over a couple of takeaways for the Alabama exporters. Really, you know, just to recap, why do Alabama exporters need online business development tools? The world is online. It's gone online more so in 2020 to 2021. That trend is only going to continue into the future. Today, you need a strong web presence to connect with future clients, future employees, future suppliers in their local environments. So speaking to the local search engine and speaking in the native language to your searcher. This is the new normal, and you need effective online business development tools to allow you to get found, be understood, and be easy to do business with in your target markets. And that is localized websites and international online marketing. Now, in terms of the Alabama Online Global programs, these programs are designed to make the internet work for you globally 24/7 in your target markets. And these programs will help you by allowing you to be found, to be understood, and to be easy to do business with in your target markets. They are designed with that specific purpose in mind, and with the specific purpose of generating a return on investment, of generating sales into those target markets, and we have had measurable success in delivering those programs. So do we encourage you to get in contact with the Alabama Department of Commerce or to get in contact directly with IBT Online if you would like to discuss further. We would love to learn more about your companies and about your international ambitions. I think we have plenty of questions, Susanna.
We do. Thank you very much, Adrian. I'm going to ask actually Jeremy if you could step in to answer some of the first ones. We've got a couple. I have one which is just how much is the STEP grant for? Do I apply to you first, Jeremy, for the STEP grant?
So yeah, for the STEP grant, it varies based on the amount varies based on what you are using it for. So even within whether you're traveling with it or using it for website services or e-commerce, It's all varying different amounts that would just be something it would be a one-on-one basis. I'd tell you what amount would work for what you're doing and what that limit would be. And so, yeah, on the second part, to apply for the STEP grant, you can get in touch with me at the contact information in the earlier slide. That would be your first step to get in touch with myself or my colleague, Bo Lohr, who is in the same position as me here at the Alabama Department of Commerce Trade Division.
Thank you, Jeremy. Just another one that's just also come in. Is this something that's going to last over time? Is this a short-term thing, COVID-related program?
So I'm assuming they're talking about both the STEP grant and the online services. Obviously, the STEP grant is something that we apply for every year. So we are very hopeful that is a long-term thing. It has been a long-term thing for us in the past, and we are planning for that moving forward. IBT Online as well. It may have just started for us in the last year, but we are hopeful that this partnership lasts for a very long time because it's been a very fruitful partnership, I believe, on both sides.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Gwen, we have some questions also for you, if I may. The first one is just, who owns your cinvivobio.jp?
Cinvivo owns it.
Okay, so not your Japanese distributor, I guess.
Right, yeah, we own it.
Okay, the other question is, you mentioned you had several distributors in Japan. How does the one website help several distributors?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we had to really think about how we, sort of sent leads to distributors. So the way we think one website helps both distributors is that it has translated content that educates customers, and then it provides contact information for one of two, for both distributors. And so customers can choose to contact the distributor that they may have a relationship with already, or is closest to them geographically, or whatever reasoning they use to contact that distributor. We also have, because one of the distributors helped us with translation and is also providing services, and the other distributor does not provide services today and just product, it also has a natural separation of how queries get sent to one distributor or the other. But the fact that there is translated content, and the technical content and the educational content is available in the local language is helpful to both the distributors.
Thank you. That's actually really interesting. I think I got a thumbs up from the person who asked the question. So thank you very much, Gwen. That was sure. Good. Adrian, perhaps you could answer one or two questions that have come in. First is, how long does it take you to build these websites? IBT?
3 months. Yeah, the build program is 3 months, and that assumes that we got an internal resource within the company that's able to take sort of ownership of the project internally. They can give us about 12 to 15 hours of their time over the span of those 3 months. And then we get, some of the things that we need, graphics, deliverables, site mapping, keywords from the company promptly. We deliver the programs. It's a very structured project management driven process. And it is designed to deliver the websites from kickoff to go live in exactly 3 months' time.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Just another question that's also come in about e-commerce, which is, if I want to develop e-commerce over time, can I convert my website into an e-commerce enabled website?
Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. So that we get that request a lot from companies. I'm sorry, I'm just noticing that I'm frozen on screen in a very peculiar way. But yes, we do get that request quite a bit from. My apologies. This is just really funny. Let me turn off my camera.
I think we've lost Adrian. Technical. Indeed, we can do that. especially if you know in advance, then we can actually make sure that we have like the right background and the right CRM, the right technology behind it, perhaps commerce, for example. Right, we've taken an hour. We wanted to thank everybody again for your time today. All the Alabama exporters who have joined us today, thank you so much. A big shout out and thank you to Jeremy for helping to organize this, and the Department of Commerce and your colleagues in the Department of Commerce for stepping in, really helpful. And of course to Gwen for sharing the experiences of Sinvivo, how that's translated into relationships with their distributors in Japan, and we hope a lot more business for you. That's what these websites are all about. Thank you all, happy exporting, and we hope to see you all in person very soon. We'll to come and visit you all in Alabama very soon as possible. Thank you all, and again, hope to see you all soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.